Hello, welcome everyone. So my topic is deploying Zabbix components with Docker and Docker Compose. So some of you already asked, so I'll go through the slides and tell you how you can do this. So first of all, maybe you're new to Zabbix and want to try new features as fast as possible. And maybe you did so before using virtual machines, creating virtual machines, installing Zabbix components from packages. And maybe you want to have some new lightweight solution, which can be set up really fast without any significant time commitment. So you are in luck. You can do this by using Docker. So we have a lot of images available in Docker of different Zabbix components. So we have Zabbix server, Zabbix proxy, our front ends, both agents, Java gateways, SNMP traps, and Zabbix web service. So everything which is required for you to have a Zabbix instance. So these images are based on different operating systems. You can choose of the available ones, and the images will be updated when new releases are published. Also, if you don't specify, let's say, operating system version, and you just, let's say, select tag latest, you will get an Alpine Linux version. So these tags are used to specify which image will be based on used for you and which Zabbix version you want to use. Maybe for some, they want to have the latest version. Some can just say, maybe have some older version, maybe have not migrated yet, and maybe need some proxy to do some pre-processing offloading. It is also supported by different platforms also. And for those who would like to try out Zabbix components in Docker, so we have a helpful user guide how you can do this. So it's here. As a colleague said, this presentation will be available after a week or so, and all of the participants also will receive this PDF. So you can go to this link and check out different information regarding the containers. Also, if you have, let's say, used only Zabbix components from packages, this should feel familiar for you, because these different options are very similar to the ones used in the versions installed from packages. And in containers, we use environment variables to define these different options. Then here we have some useful Docker commands for Docker container management, like how to run, start, stop, delete, like check the list, inspect the container, restart it, and check the logs of the container. Then we have commands for image management, so you can download image from registry, push to registry, list images, remove one or multiple images, also inspect. For example, you see the image tag latest, but you're not sure which version it is. So you can use a Docker image inspect command. Here are also some useful Docker Compose components: how to start up, how to stop and remove, list, check the logs, start service, stop service, and also configure. And also some miscellaneous commands which can come in handy, such as login to registry, logout, search, show all of the running and stop containers, or maybe just copy files from your container to your local file system. One thing you should remember: if something doesn't work or doesn't work as intended, you can always check the container logs. You can also specify a number of lines you would like to see, or maybe you have some issue which started at some specific time. You can also specify this and check only the time period you're interested in, or you're making debugging in live session and would like to check, okay, if I do this, what will happen? You can also use option -F to show the log in real time. So here we have a few examples. So in the first case, I forgot to mount etc host file to container, and I cannot connect to Proxy. Sorry, yeah. This is for agent. Agent connect. So Proxy is rejected, and in other case, in this case, the host is monitored by Proxy, but only allows connections from server. So we also get an error. Then we have additional options. You can also open a shell inside a running container and do some stuff there. You can also mount volumes or directories that you want to keep files on them. One of the useful features is Docker networks. You can also use either default bridge network, which is set automatically by Docker, or make your own custom user-defined networks. In user-defined network, you can either use container IP addresses or container names. Also, it can be useful to isolate maybe some containers from other containers, or also maybe just group them together. So with containers, you have a lot of possibilities. So you can create a lot of redundant services. Let's say you can create a high availability Zabbix server nodes. You can make multiple proxies and therefore proxy groups. You can also start up multiple agents with different container images. You can also make easily scheduled reports. You can also make a proxy with Java gateways. You can also perform container monitoring and also check out the new features as they're available. So here we have some block diagram. So we have a lot of possibilities. We can also make the minimum necessary components also to run in a containerized environment. We can make specify these services ourselves, or maybe use already official documentation and official, let's say, Docker Compose files to start it up. We can also monitor or Docker environment. We can also store Zabbix agent in a containerized environment and monitor or different services from there also. So here we have an example of Docker run. So we configure different parameters using environment variables, are shown here in a green color, preceded by -E flag. We can also mount directories, and we can also expose ports. For example, we have in some host, let's say set up this Zabbix proxy. So we have open port for different use cases. Then we have the same example for Docker Compose. So instead of writing this Docker run command, and when we have some change, for example, in configuration, let's say we want to change the number of some kind of polar, we would have to stop this container, remove it, and paste again this Docker run command. Or we could just use Docker Compose. So we would have a file where we specify all of the necessary information regarding the containers that we want to start. So we started, okay, we notice we want to make some addition. So we just edit this file, stop this Docker compose. We use command Docker compose down and Docker compose up to start up the services. So when the Docker compose down, all of the services are removed and recreated again when we start the Docker compose up. So here is example. So we can just specify a file with the necessary information. And one of the advantages of Docker compose file is we can, in the file, define multiple services at once. And also with this Docker compose commands, start it up and running. Also, if you want to try out the official Docker compose files from Zabbix, you can also go to GitHub and check out the Docker compose file. And we also have documentation regarding how to use it and how to try it out. You can also deploy redundant Zabbix servers. So first of all, for each container, you will have to add 2 additional parameters, such as ZBX HA node name and ZBX node address. So you will have to add these to all of the redundant servers that you would like to create. And from the front-end container, you will have to remove these 2 parameters, ZBX server host and ZBX server port. So in this case, the front-end will communicate directly with the database and get the data from there. I'll check out a bit chat. The chat is very long. Continue. Also, you can also execute commands in container, or you could also create a shell inside the container and perform your runtime commands there if needed. Maybe you need to do some debugging. This can be very helpful. You can deploy additional proxies. So you can start multiple proxies in Docker. This can be used to remove the preprocessing from the Zabbix servers. You can place your proxy behind the firewall, which can gather that data from different agents and different devices, and it only requires 1 port to send this data back to Zabbix server. And it also has a option to store the data locally if there is some issue with your network, and after this issue is resolved, the data will be sent back to Zabbix server. And data compression is enabled by default, which cannot be disabled. So you also win in this case. So you get less traffic. So how to deploy proxies for high availability server? It depends in what kind of mode your proxies is running on. So if it's in active mode, so in this case, it's a ZBX proxy mode equals 0. You will have to specify in this environment variable ZBX server host the list of IP addresses or DNS names of Zabbix server delimited by semicolon. You also have to set this up also passive mode proxies. So in that case, is this ZBX proxy mode 1. However, the list of Zabbix servers in high availability mode is separated by comma, and that's pretty much it. So if you have made some mistake, and let's say you have set list of Zabbix server delimited by semicolon for passive proxy, you will also probably see this in your container error logs. You can also upgrade your proxies in Docker. In reality, the actions behind this are a bit different. So, for example, if you let's say have older deployment version of your Zabbix server, and you are upgrading it for it to work in the newest versions, you'll also have to upgrade your proxy. So in this case, you just stop your container, set a newer version, start up your container. Container will detect, okay, you have older SQL3 database version. Sorry, not SQL version. You have older database version. It will delete the file and create a new one. So if you rely on this database file for some other services, you will lose this data. You can also be required to upgrade your Zabbix proxy. And if this proxy uses MySQL database, in this case, you will have to enable this flag and set it to value of 1. And create a container with a newer proxy version, and check the log file when the upgrade has completed, and send this flag back to 0. So you can also configure proxy groups. This can work for load balancing between the proxies. This balancing is performed based on a number of hosts, not on new values per second, and it will be performed after the grace period of 10 times the failover period. And it will also be rebalanced if difference of hosts above or below the group's average count by 10 or 2 times. Also, do not forget to specify proxy address in your active or passive Zabbix agent configuration for hosts monitored through proxy. And you can configure the proxy group in the front end. So first you go to section administration proxy group, create a new group, specify failover period, a minimum number of hosts, and then you can go to section proxies, and for each existing proxy, add this proxy to your proxy group. Next, you have to go to data collection hosts and change so that those hosts are monitored by proxy. You can do this either manually or using mass update option to set for multiple hosts this option. In case you need more Java gateways, you can also add one you can add one Java gateway for Zabbix server, and you will have to specify these for environment variables. The same goes also for proxy. You also have to specify these for parameters. And the good thing is you can make unlimited number of proxies. So you can have a pair of proxy together with this Java gateway. You can also launch multiple frontends. Here, no need to modify any other container configuration. Just make as much as you need in case you have some large number of Zabbix users, and you can alleviate this problem. So here we have just start the containers and specify the port, and that's pretty much it. You can now make browser monitoring more easily now. So you will require to start a WebDriver in a container. So here we have some example. And we will have to also add 2 additional parameters in our Zabbix server container configuration. So we will have to add 2 additional environment variables, such as Zabbix WebDriver URL, and we also have to start browser pollers. So how many we write there depends how many simultaneous, sorry, not this one. Yeah, that's it, yeah. And for SNMP traps, we also have to specify 2 additional parameters. So first of all, we will have to enable SNMP traps, and we will have to have a shared volume should be used in Zabbix server container and in a Zabbix SNMP trap container. Once that is set up, you can also use SNMP traps. You can also easily make scheduled reports. So for this one, you will have to start a Zabbix web service with 2 environment variables. So first is allowed IP addresses that you will allow to connect to this service. In my case, I have specified like all of them are allowed, so not very secure thing. And you have also specified the listen port. Sorry, it was a bit backward, yeah. So for Zabbix web service, yeah, allowed IP addresses and listen ports. And for Zabbix server configuration, we will have to start report writers. So the number, how many specified here, will determine how many simultaneous reports can be generated. And we also have to specify ZBX web service URL. And the once that is done, don't forget to enable and configure your media type. You can also test it and check that you receive the email. After that, you will have to configure your user media. So this scheduled report can be sent. And you also have to provide the front-end URL in this section, administration, general, others. And in this field, you will have to provide the URL for your front-end. So in my case, I have selected the front-end with Nginx. So for those who use Apache, you will have to use before the port /Zabbix for it to work. And next, we go to scheduled report section, create a report, select which dashboard we want to generate this report. And that's it. We can also test this report and check our email that we are actually receiving the report. You can also monitor your Docker container. For this, you'll require to install Zabbix agent on your Docker host system. So you'll have to allow the breached network if you're running your Zabbix server in containerized environment, and specify the listen port. You will also have to add user Zabbix to group Zabbix for it to work, and start the Zabbix agent too. What is left to do? Create a host, link the template, Docker by Zabbix agent 2, and you're good to go. And you're being monitoring and then you can monitor your containers. And that's pretty much it. So I will check the.
Yeah, we've answered quite a lot of questions during your presentation. We have one question in the Q&A section left about your presentation. Is it possible or wise to add Proxy SQLite 3 on production, given the fact that we now use memory or hybrid mode? Yeah, I guess I don't really understand the final comment before that, but yeah.
One thing to note is that you still need some kind of database, regardless if your proxy is using memory mode, because Zabbix proxy needs to store configuration data. So the configuration data doesn't take a lot of space. So I could presume you could use whatever is available and
Yeah,
support.
so I'm also not seeing a problem with using SQLite 3
Yeah.
with memory hybrid mode in production. Works fine. Okay, thank you, Giannis. We had quite a lot of questions. We just knocked them out together with Alexander's while you were speaking. Thank you.